Liverpool take on Nottingham Forest at Anfield on Saturday at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Good kickoff time for us. They would do that because we've not had a midweek game. Let's talk about how both teams can get their season, I want to say, back on track, even though both of them have had kind of a lot of changes to compete with, a lot of weird things going on around the club. But let's talk about that for Forest. Forest have had a pretty good record against Liverpool under Arne Slot. They beat Liverpool home and away last season. Very good team, the only team to do so, but that was under very different management. And now they're under Sean Dyche. They were looking to get a slightly more attacking style. They were looking to shift things up a little bit. They were looking to essentially make a bit of progress, but they've gone the opposite way, and therefore they are now slightly more conservative. Not that that particularly suits Liverpool. I don't think any way would have suited Liverpool. This is a really talented technical side. They've got some great midfielders, obviously in Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously in Anderson as well, and it's going to be a really hard midfield battle. They've also got obviously some great centre-backs, and I think normally they play one striker up top at the moment, but they've got those two wingers. That would really worry me as well, considering that obviously Liverpool at the moment feel like we're weakest at our fullback position. But there are also some interesting, obviously, form issues for them. But form, I think, goes out the window when you brought in a new manager. You don't know what the bounce is. You don't know what the, kind of tactical shifts are. You don't know who's getting used to what. So I'm not going to ignore the fact that they've won against Porto and Leeds only in recent games, and then the rest of them have either been draws or losses. But also, I think they were playing better and probably a little bit unlucky in quite a few of those games to have, basically had a bit of a demoralizing period under the ownership. And they're looking to get out of it. They are more than capable of doing that, and that is why it worries me at Anfield. Let's talk a little bit about this Liverpool team. Wirtz is out. Conor Bradley is out. Both of them with muscle issues. Doesn't surprise me. Go away for the international break. Things happen. But now we've got a consolidated time where we can try to put a run together. And Forest are the beginning of that. We then play midweek against PSV. We then obviously got another weekend game. Then I think we've also got the Inter Milan. We've got a lot of big games between now and Christmas, put it that way. And in the run up to Christmas, I think we're going to see how Liverpool's season shapes up. Not only in terms of points, but also in terms of how we actually shape up on the field. It's going to be interesting to see who we play at right back. It's going to be interesting to see who we play up front. Let me go through this starting 11 and then kind of rationalize things a little bit for you, right? First of all, I don't think Alisson's going to play this game, put it that way. I think Mamardashvili will start this one. I think then we're going to see at right back Dominic Szoboszlai, mainly because the Conor Bradley issue, Frimpong is still out. And I'm not sure that Calvin Ramsey is going to be a permanent or correct choice for Liverpool in the long run, right? He's still a good player, but you know what I'm saying. Centre back, Konate Van Dijk. And then left back, I think we go Robertson, but I think Kerkez is in that team. I would go Robertson. I think Kerkez is in the side. Mainly just because I think we've got to put him in at some point. I think against someone like Forest, there is the potential to have a lot of space for him to run into. We need someone who's a bit more mobile against those wingers, but let's see, right? Now, midfield. With Szoboszlai playing at right back, I think we'll bring Curtis Jones in. McAllister's obviously coming off the back of a pretty, should I say busy period, or someone where he's looked pretty exhausted. The international break kind of really been helping him. And so I do still think we play him, but, disappointingly so. I think, we need to rotate him in that midfield. Curtis Jones will start. I think Gravenberch will start. And I think we won't play anyone ahead of that as like a solid number 10. I think it'll be Jones and McAllister and Szoboszlai rotating between those positions. Could even be that Jones takes up that right back position at some point. Up front, I think we have to start Mo, mainly just because I think Mo is still, one of those guys. But I think we will start a front two, obviously alongside Mo as like one of those auxiliary wingers of Hugo and Isak. Isak needs to get those numbers. And Hugo is Hugo. And I think he deserves the time at the moment to play for Liverpool. It's, again, a bit of a halfway house formation. I think it feels more like a 3-4-3 if we play Robertson. I think it feels more like it's transitional, sure, but we'll play 5 in midfield. And then I think they'll be more like kind of transitioning into a 3/2 up front, depending on what the shape is that the opposition play, right? I still want to see how we play 2 up front for Liverpool, but if Mo Salah starts, I don't think we will do that. I don't think Mo's going to start in like a fullback type position for Liverpool. So again, I think that's where we're going to go with Liverpool. 3-4-3, 4-3-3, depending on how many numbers are in midfield and depending on who's going to kind of tuck in there. And then obviously, I think that's a pretty formidable strike force. We've not got a number 10 behind it, kind of your traditional number 10, but we do have a number 10 in there, and it could be McAllister, could be Curtis Jones. I think my concern is still that we've still not really found a formation or a starting 11 that we feel kind of 100% on. And that does worry me a little bit. It worries me that we can get worried about anything. It just worries me that we don't have that at this point in the season. But having Isak back, having Hugo Ekitike, having Salah, all of that really important in building this new structure. Not only that, but I think, to be honest, we've been off for a couple of weeks now. We don't really remember where Liverpool are at. Like, obviously they will, and everyone does remember, but we don't really remember where the evolution of this side was at. We had some pretty good results, and then we went into that City game and we were really disappointed. The team will be wanting to make up for that. The players will be wanting to make up for that. The management will be wanting to make up for that. Anfield will be annoyed about that. So there is a lot of kind of something to make up for here. We also just beat Real Madrid. We also did a pretty good job before that as well. And in beating Villa, I thought we saw some kind of shoots of a team that was beginning to come together. And then I think we almost just got too adventurous against City, or not adventurous enough, if that makes sense. So there were times where we were really trying to go forward and created a lot, but then there were also times where we didn't look like we were being connective enough or creative enough in order to break them down. It was the lack of energy and intensity that cost us in that game, and then the lack of tactical nous. We didn't have anyone in that game who was able to manage things, and it really frustrated me. It really annoyed me that we didn't manage that game correctly, because we could have done more against City had we not let them get ahead of us. All the goals were avoidable, as are all goals, but especially the first one. I find Kirkes very frustrating as a player. I find the whole thing with this left-back situation really frustrating because, we brought in a guy who's very competent. We're not playing towards his strengths. Should we bring in Gay in January, suddenly I think we see a whole new Kirkes. Suddenly I think we probably see a whole new Conor Bradley, a whole new Frimpong, a whole new level at fullback there. But that is for January, not for now. We need to put results together for this period in order to get to January and be kind of tempting people in to do something special. We need to be within touching distance of Arsenal, as they've got the North London derby and some really challenging games in these coming games. City, we need to be within touching distance of them because they have got some challenging games, all right? This is still Arsenal's title to lose, but it is still theirs to lose. And I think it's not necessarily on us to do that, to kind of challenge them, because I think it is on City. But the frustration for me will be if Arsenal were to fall away, if City were to fall away, if they were to be worked out, or if people were to kind of, work out how to play them in the way they worked out with Liverpool, why aren't we there? Why are we not having the big players step up in those big moments, or even just in these small moments, even just in these little moments where we need them to just do a tackle or track back or whatever it is, in between the big moments where we do feel that we're tactically more advanced? I'm just looking to see steps forward, not only in effort, but also in tactical understanding of where Slot needs his players to play and management of a game. Forest would be a great team to start that off against because they're still being coached up to a certain level. Dyche will have the basics in place. He will have those ideas, the fundamentals of what Dyche ball is. But we know we are a good enough team to score goals. We know we've got striking excellence there. Hugo Ekitike, Isak, Salah, Szoboszlai. There is lots of goals in this team with McAllister and Curtis Jones, and Gravenberch has grabbed a goal in recent weeks as well. So there's a lot of different routes to goal. And then all of the wasted, frankly, set pieces that we've had over the last couple of weeks. So there's a lot in this side. There is great strength. And what we need to do is get that confidence back. And Anfield, there is no better place to do that. So, yeah, I do think Liverpool should win this game. Yeah, I think we should be pushing up the table. But this is the start of putting a run together. Forest leads into PSV on Wednesday, leads into next weekend, and then on to Inter and on to lots of other big sides. So what do you think the score prediction is? In the comments below, let me know. Good to have you guys back, and I'll be there post-game. Much love.